Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I am Dustin. We are looking at Carnival Corporation, Cruise, and PLC, whatever that means. Apparently, Carnival Cruise is back in business when it comes to their overall business, and things are running hot. We are definitely in an expansion here when we look at the market. I can see that because if we look at Carnival Cruise, we are up nearly 1% just for today. We're up over 2% over the past week, over nearly 7.5% over the past 3 weeks, and up over 10% over 1 month. We are negative when you look at us on the 3-month rolling return. You are down 7.28%. That kind of sucks, to be honest. But if you've been holding for 6 months or 1 year, you feel incredibly vindicated. Look at that chart on the right there. Essentially, what you've seen is it bottomed here in October, just like everything did. It's had a peak clearly in December of 2023. It's bottomed again recently in February, it looks like. And it looks like we're off to the races again. We can see the top of the range is running at 1750, and the bottom of the range is coming up at 1557. This is a different range. This is sentiment based, where this one is a little bit differently calculated. But what a fascinating thing that we have here. Let's go ahead and look at the raw data. The raw data here on Carnival Cruise, what I like to see, and if you've watched any of my previous videos, I really love to see when you get a 1 day, 5 day, 15 day, 1 month, and I prefer a 3 month, but a 6 month will do, when they're all rolling in the same direction. They can either be all negative, which sometimes you'll see, like you can see back here in 2023, all the way into, remember we were looking at October of 2023, this is exactly when they bottomed. And when you get this flip, the specific thing that I'm looking for very often is when I get a 1 month, 15 day, 5 day, and a 1 day, all flipping at the same time, and I'm getting what is usually going to be go long signals in the short term, intermediate term, longer term, and bullish flips as well, as we saw back in 2023. Now, if we bring it back up to 2024 of where we are right now, we are at $17.19. We have seen over the past 3 days an explosion of volume. I don't know if that's due to good business, if that's good marketing, if that's just PR, I'm not sure, but I really am quite impressed to see that much volume return into something that I was not paying attention to, and I would not expect to be the #1 most active stock on Yahoo Finance. Now, we can see that most recently we've seen the volatility rising. Of course, you'd expect that when you see price breakouts like this, especially when you're getting the kind of moves where you're getting a down move, which is really consistently down, and then an up move, which just essentially turns on a dime. That would essentially tell me a lot about volatility, specifically because when you're seeing those kinds of moves, that's saying that there's a high level of volatility. It may be trending and falling back and forth, but it's at least a high relative to itself. Now, if we go over and look at the, again, we're looking at the trading signals in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term. We're still go long on the trend. We're bullish on the short term, intermediate term, and longer term. Very, very good. On the rolling sentiment here, you can see this is a graph of essentially what the rising and falling sentiment is. The green being the bullishness, the red being the bearishness. You can see we've just come off of that bottom. Essentially what we were just talking about was a steep, steady volatility, like drop or decline even in price, and now we're getting a complete roll. The one thing I'd say I had some concern about is that it's already at 61% bullishness. Now, that's not a big deal, but if you notice on this indicator, it generally will get to the mid to high 60s at the highest, and then it does want to come back into equilibrium around that 50%. So you see that we went down to 40% there. Now, if you look at the overall trading signals, we do see that we've got a rising valley. We've got some big bulls, we've got some small bulls, got 1 month bull triggers, which I really like. The concerning portion here, and the thing I would use to discredit even the idea of going long, is that I don't see enough of the bull key 3. I'd like to see more. If we go ahead and look at the overall charts, again, on the weekly, to be honest, Carnival Cruise really hasn't done much in a long time. This goes all the way back to 2020 when it was up above $20. We've traded between that $10 and $20 range for a while here. It looks like we are going to see some potential moves, but I would expect that there might be a little bit of a pullback. Now, you never know in a market like this, because especially if we look at the weekly indicator here, this thing is just starting to turn back up, after essentially peaking in June of 2023. So you could expect that you'd see some sustained demand, especially with this type of volume profile where you're having the largest volume days in the past 9 months looking back. We can see volatility is starting to break out a little bit. We see the correlation is rising, so you would expect the price to continue to rise as well. If the volatility peaks and starts to roll over, we'd want to see that correlation roll over too, to see the price continue to go sideways. This is what we're looking at in the trade range. This is very similar to that trade card at the very beginning. The very top is 1758, and the bottom is 1509. One of the things I do want to call out, just when we're looking at this, is I do personally think that the trade range is the most important part. I think there's 2 specific parts that are really important. I think it's the trade range and the sentiment. Now, one of the things that I'm doing for myself, and I'm going to share this with you, is I'm building an app. I want to replace this model that I have here because I have some concerns that I'm potentially getting the data from Google. You know, you never know. You want to protect yourself. So I am building this app here. It's a stock manager, and specifically what it has is the most important aspects of this spreadsheet here, the model that I built initially, into a much more lightweight and much more user-friendly app. Now, we're looking at today, $17.19. We see the breakout in the volume. We can see the sentiment. And the thing that I love to see is the higher highs and the higher lows with a bullish trend. That lets me know that this is actually something I feel very comfortable with. with. So if you're interested in this, I'm going to put a link in the description below. You can go ahead and sign up. I'm going to have a different product. It actually is a product. It's not free, but it is called Evening Equity Insights. It is 1 month free trial. So feel free to sign up if you're interested. It's $25 a month. And what you'll receive is you're actually going to receive a list of all these individual stocks that you see here with their price, volume, trend, rolling 20-day, lower, high, bottom, top, and or bottom and their top, as well as some comments on it. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.